The unthinkable happened today. My life crushed. My gym had to close down. I know it's the worst that could have happened in this whole crisis. I know there are a lot of people out there sick in hospitals and not having a great time and lost jobs and money's not coming in. My gym closed. Of course, I am joking, but I want to make a serious point out of the gym's closing, and that is other ways that we can save money. Okay, so let's dive into today's video. Thanks for joining me. It is Jason Pizzino. You've joined me here on my channel. If you haven't already, subscribe, bell notifications so you can listen to your messages come up when I post out a new video. And then turn them off because you're sick of hearing notifications. Things that we can save on because of the beer virus going around. We can't mention the name because YouTube does not like that. What are we going to do? I've got a list of things that I have saved on for many years and I know they work. I've been through the 2008 global financial crisis. I've kept a hugely strict budget when I had several properties, and that got me through those times when the interest rate was up around 10% here in Australia. Can you imagine that? Now we're on the decline. It's been going down ever since. Can you imagine getting a home loan at 10%? Let's start with the first thing there, and that is, of course, if you have a mortgage, get your interest rate lowered. You can be saving a whole lot of money on that. Got to do the numbers to see whether the discount on the cash rate, what they've dropped it, is viable for you and the fee that might come out if you've already fixed your loan. Personally, if this was advice to my brothers, which it is, I wouldn't be locking in a home loan at this stage, at least for the foreseeable future, because like you would have seen on previous videos, I think there's going to be a lot of money printing going on, and I think that is the way that the government and the economy is going to pull themselves out. Therefore, I don't think they're going to be raising interest rates anytime soon to be able to pay back all of the debt. So I'll just be holding out to see what happens with these negative interest rates, which I think will probably come. That's the first thing there. Second thing that everyone can use is groceries. We have gone nuts as a society with our groceries and just buying everything we can. You've seen it all over the internet, people just going into the shops and buying absolutely everything. You know, the meat section's empty, the can section is empty, the toilet paper is empty. It's ridiculous. Look to buy things, personally, 2 weeks in advance. At most, things are going to go off. You might not like certain things. It's going to sit in the back of your fridge. It's going to sit in the back of the cupboard. It always happens. We're human. We're absolutely intelligent, smart people, and we also do really dumb things. And stocking up on a whole lot of stuff which you probably don't need is probably a dumb thing. Save the money there, put that aside, and I'll talk about what I would like to do with that later on. So the groceries. Another thing we can do is if there are prices that are going a little bit crazy, for example, meat, they can be going up a fair bit more. What I've done is found a wholesale butcher close to me, and they don't often sell to the public, although they do. So it's not your typical butcher that is selling to everyone and those ones are sold out. Go and look for ones who used to supply restaurants. And we know restaurants have also been closed here in Australia and probably following similar suit in the US, where it's only delivery or pickup services, so no one's sort of in restaurant. That's obviously affected their sales. So look for those butchers. It takes a bit of time, but I'm sure many of us have a little bit more time now with many things closed. Which brings me on to the next point. And then the next point to cut back on is subscriptions. Now, some of us may have a bit more time because we got laid off from jobs, working from home, you're just sort of bored doing other things. But really, at the end of the day, the name of the game, if you're on this channel, is personal finance and investing and creating more wealth. Now is the time to be getting really familiar with your budget, going into your bank statements and reviewing all of the costs that are coming out. There's also subscriptions which you probably don't even remember are on there. I just found one the other day which I forgot to cancel, and it was an Amazon Audible subscription. I'm not that interested in listening to books, I'd rather read them, so I like to get onto Kindle. But yeah, I found this come up. It's fair enough, it's only $14, but when you start adding all of these things up, we know that they can total a lot of money every month, and I would rather use that cash into investments that are going to make me something else long term. Obviously, Audible may make you some money because you're learning and researching from that and then using that knowledge to go and do something better. But things like the Disney subscription, everyone can cancel that. Unless you have kids and you really can't stand listening to them too much longer because everyone's at home. You get my point. There's Netflix, there's cable for the Americans, there's cable for us here in Australia. People still get cable when there's internet, when there's other sources of information and ways to get entertained. Boxed goods delivered to your house. There are subscriptions for beauty products, subscriptions for men's health products, all of this sort of stuff, magazines. Cancel these subscriptions. You could probably, in some cases, total up to a couple of $100 easily from all of these subscriptions, and then that money could be better used in other areas, which I'll go into shortly. Other things we can cut out on now, especially in my case, is the gyms. The gyms have been closed. Like, what are we going to do? Unfortunately for them, they need to get some money through the door somehow, and I know my gym is definitely looking at that to help all their clients out at home so they can continue to make some money. But if you found yourself in that situation, get onto that ASAP. There's probably a good $15 to $70 a week, depending on what type of gym you're at. So now that we have all this extra time, go and do some side jobs, go and do some hustles. If you find yourself still at work, fantastic. Keep the job for as long as possible. Do everything you can in that job to cement your position there, to show the value in yourself so that you can keep creating your buffer and then using this down the track to dollar cost average into the market. So if you don't have a job or you find yourself with a little bit more extra time because you've been sent home from work and you have to work from home, another thing I would save on is time-based jobs. Things like gardening, car washing, potentially beauty stuff, haircuts, nails, all that sort of jazz that requires time. You may have found yourself with a bit of extra time and you can go and learn how to do that skill yourself. Who knows, maybe you've never cut the lawn before. YouTube it. And then you can save that money and put that into your emergency fund. Unfortunately, the downside to that is that some people are going to lose their jobs who are in the services industry. And now that's something that is going to have to play out in time in the economy. It is a real shame. But the ones who can find themselves some value in that case, they're going to survive. It doesn't bring me any joy to say that, but we've all got to work as hard as we can to improve our emergency funds. And the last thing to save on, by all means, is toilet paper. Forget about stocking up on this stuff. It is unimportant. They're going to get toilet paper in at some point. If you have to wash your butt with water, if you find yourself at home. I know it sounds gross. If you've ever been to Southeast Asia, that's what they do there. Billions of people do that. It's not the end of the world to not have toilet paper. And you can see in a lot of these trolleys online that people are stocking up with a whole lot of toilet paper. It could be tens, maybe hundreds of dollars of toilet paper. That can be better used in an emergency fund, or later on, if you've got yourself sorted out with an emergency fund, of course, investing. So we've gone through a few things that we can save on. What are we going to do with the savings? First things first, I believe an emergency fund is the best case. For some, that's 3 to 6 months. That's generally what you get as advice on the internet. Personally, like I've said in many videos before, I don't think 3 to 6 months is anywhere near enough. Of course, if you're just starting out and you find yourself starting from zero, then get as much as you can. Get 1 week, get 2 weeks, start to get 2 months. Like, just start, get that emergency fund up, because you don't know what's happening in the future. Things are volatile at the moment. Nothing is consistent. So do what you can to get that emergency fund up. Ideally, and I know it's possibly almost impossible at this point, but a goal to set is get at least 12 months emergency fund, 12 months that you can live on. That really relieves the stress and the pressure. If anything happens in your life, you might have some kids, you might have loans and bills to pay. It's just a great thing to have at least 12 months there. That's a goal for the future. So if you find yourself in this position now, work hard, hustle, get some side jobs. There's so much stuff on the internet that you can do. Learn, educate yourself on wealth and start helping other people with that. It's something that I've been doing for many years now, and really it's almost recession proof. In the good times, people want to learn about wealth. In the bad times, they want to learn even more. It's a lot of FOMO trying to figure out all that information in one hit. Do what you can, get that fund up. Start working on those side hustles. Thinking of the current situation, a side hustle could be as simple as delivering food. Now, if we're allowed out to deliver food, that can be a really good one, because people aren't really eating at restaurants at the moment, and that could be a side little thing you put onto Facebook and offer your services there. Maybe that's a service that people will actually want. Maybe you can pivot from gardening or cleaning or whatever it was to delivering food. So if you're working on your fund, make sure you've paid off your debts as well, especially the high interest debts. Stuff over 10% is nuts. Credit cards, 20%. You got car loans if they're sitting at 9 or 12%. Whatever you have to do, get rid of those loans, because that's essentially saving an interest rate. You're making money back by paying off those loans. In addition to paying off your debts, if you find yourself in the situation that you have multiple debts, now could be a fantastic time to talk with all of your creditors and see if you can bring all of those debts together at a lower interest rate, because you're essentially joining all of these loans together. Maybe a bank, maybe some other service out there can help you bring all of these loans together. Google it. There are plenty of companies who are doing this right now. We have saved money on our groceries and other service jobs. We have decided to work a bit harder. We've got some side hustles. Maybe we are out there driving and delivering food. We are working on our income or on our base that is going to protect us for the next few months. What do we do next? Once all of this is done, obviously invest. Probably seen on my channel before, I love to talk about dollar cost averaging. I won't go into that again. There are plenty of videos on my channel about that. As always, I'll leave links to other videos above here. And we want to get into some investing. What are some great things to do? Again, like I said, if I'm talking to my brothers about this, things that I like to discuss often, I want to have some liquidity. I want to have something in cash in case other things come up, in case I've got to pay for some things, the car breaks because I'm delivering food so much. All those sorts of things, right? Some of the standard stuff is obviously the stock market, where to get in. That's where I talk about it with a dollar cost averaging plan. Index funds, ETFs, all this sort of jazz. These things are great because they are a basket of all the other stocks in the market. I'm talking about the markets here, and I don't like the look of the Aussie markets. I prefer the look of the US markets. They look like they're a lot stronger, and they look like they could go on a lot further. They produce a lot more in the US. There are more businesses. There's more industry, which is necessary. In Australia, we aren't built like that, unfortunately. I don't know whose fault that is. I'm not here to say that. All I want to do is find the best place for my money, and often I don't think that is in Australian stocks. It's not saying that you can't get some great returns with them, but overall, if you're going to go into some index funds, you could look at the Aussie market compared to the US market since 2009 low, since 2010, the last 10 years, it's black and white. The American markets have crapped all over the Aussie markets. So I think going forward, the US market's going to be a lot stronger than the Aussie markets. And it's me talking again to my brothers, I would be looking elsewhere as opposed to Australia. It's going to take a little bit of work, but that's what you've got to do when you want to make some money in investing. And the last thing I like to invest in, no surprises here, is cryptocurrency, with a disclaimer. You have to be emotionally strong with these cryptocurrency markets. They move as fast as the coronavirus moves around the world. They are unstoppable. They can be up 80% one day, down 50% the next, and you just got to hold steady and look to the longer picture. Now, why I like them is because there is the potential to make bigger returns than the other markets out there, the traditional stock markets, bond markets, index funds, all these other things. There is much bigger potential in crypto to make bigger gains with smaller amounts of money. Yes, there is a lot of work to be done there, so get stuck into it now. If you find yourself with the time, get onto that now. Don't forget your trading plan. You've got to have a plan to get in, got to have a plan to manage the trade throughout the period, and you've got to have an exit plan too, because knowing from experience, 2017 was nuts. It was ballistic, and you can get really swept up very quickly with how fast these markets move and how much profit you are making every hour of the day when these days go crazy. Especially when they fall again, you just see it all drop. That's a huge lesson. Have a plan. That wraps us up for the things you can save on and then what to do with your money afterwards. Obviously, the first thing to do is stay safe. Keep your health in great order. If you have to be at home or the gyms are closed, get outside if you can. If you're not at home, locked into the house at the moment from the government, get outside, get your lungs pumping, stay away from people, of course, while you're getting your flow on, and keep yourself healthy. Thanks again for joining. Subscribe down below, hit the new videos that are coming up here. Like the video, of course. It always helps out me and the channel. I really appreciate it every time you do that. I love seeing those little numbers go up and the little hand go blue. Of course, I only see that when I like the video. Follow me on Facebook if you want to stay in touch around personal finance, lifestyle design. I've also got a group on Facebook, Optimize Your Life. Until next time, stay safe, have more fun, to get more done.